Hello everyone, my name is Dhanraj Munj and today I will be giving presentation on environmental studies subject for the topic disaster management for floods. So proceeding towards our presentation, flood, a disaster. First we will see what is disaster. A disaster is a serious problem occurring over a short or long period of time that causes widespread human material, economic, or environmental loss which exceeds the ability of the affected community or society to cope using its own resources. There are different types of disasters in this, mainly floods, wildfires, earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunami, landslides, etc. So my topic is regarding towards the floods. So floods are the most frequent type of natural disaster. A flood happens when water from a river, lake or ocean overflow into the land around it. A flood is an overflow of water that submerges land that is usually dry. Are an area of study in a discipline of hydrology. They are most of the common and widespread natural severe weather event. These are some of the images of flood occur in recently or some areas. Next, there are different types of floods, that is river flood, coastal flood, storm surge, inland flooding, flash flood. These are the images of this flood you can see here. There are different causes of floods, mainly the massive rainfall, overflowing of the rivers, collapsed dams, snow melt, deforestation, climate change, and the emission of greenhouse gases. These are some of the reasons for the uh, occurring of floods in today's uh, area. Now, we will see the disaster management of floods. Some of the major steps of flood disaster management are flood forecasting. Second, reduction of runoff. Reducing flood peaks by volume reduction, that is construction of dams and detention basins. Reducing flood levels. Protection against inundation, that is construction of embankments. Floodplain zoning. Now we will see detailed information of this in further slides. So moving forward, first we will see the flood forecasting. Flood forecasting involves giving prior information regarding the occurrence of floods. This is essential and is extremely useful for taking timely actions to prevent loss of human lives, livestock, and movable property. The forecasting involves the following four main activities, that is, the observation and collection of hydrological and hydrometeorological data, transmission of data to forecasting centers, analysis of data and formulation of forecasts, and finally the dissemination of forecasts. This is the process of flood forecasting to reduce the effect of floods. Now we'll see the second disaster management, that is reduction of runoff. Reduction of runoff is one of the very effective method of flood disaster management. Afforestation helps in reduction of runoff in the following ways. The canopy of forest cover intercepts the falling raindrops and the roots. The leaf little humans are capable of holding waters. Second, together this encourage infiltration and reduce runoff. Reduction helps in reducing soil erosion, which leads to reduced sediment load of the streams. Reduction in stream sediments load reduce siltation and helps in maintaining the water accommodating capacity of the rivers. This is the vast scope of using this method in the northern plain of India due to soft soil and vastness of aquifers. This is one of the disaster management of flood which is very effective to reduce the effect of flood and cause of flood. Now for moving further, the next disaster management for flood is reducing flood peak by volume reduction, that is construction of more dams and detention basins. The flood peaks can be reduced by construction of dams and detention basins. Dams have the capacity of holding huge quantity of water during the flood period and help in reducing flood peak volume of water. Water stored in reservoirs created by constructing dams can be allowed to flow down the stream under the controlled condition depending upon the accommodating capacity of the river downstream the dam. These dams have helped in mitigating flood peak in the downstream reaches. Notable among these are Tilaya, Konar, Maithon, and Panchat Hill dams in Damodar Valley system. Other type of detention basin includes natural depressions such as marshes in plains and old quarries and mines. This is the images of some of the construction of dams and disaster management for flood. Moving forward, the next disaster management for flood is reducing flood levels. We can reduce the flood level by the following ways. First is the stream channelization. So a stream channelization, it is a closed network of canals reducing flood hazard to a great extent because flood water flowing in the river can be diverted to canals. Canals serve as a temporary storage and hold water as it floods waves move downstream. Thus help in reducing the severity of the flood. Next is the channel improvement. Channel improvement is done by dipping, widening, straightening, lining, and cleaning out of vegetations and debris from the river channel. These changes in the river channel increase the flood conveyance capacity of the river. Channel improvement is supplemented by bank stabilization by construction repairs, dikes or suppers, and planting deep roots trees on embankments. Next is the flood diversion. Flood diversion is the process of diverting the flood water in marshes, lakes, the depression and spreading it in thinly over paddy fields and desert drylands. These are some of the methods to reduce the flood levels, which is widely used in many of the cities to reduce the cause of the flood. Further, there is disaster management for flood is the protection against inundation, that is construction of embankments. Building of embankments was considered to be the only way of controlling floods in 1940s. It is still considered to be one of the very effective devices against inundation of inhabited areas and agricultural land. Construction of embankment has been taken up a large scale in India. Between 1954 and 1978, 10,082 1 kilometer long embankments have been built. By March 2000, more than 33,630 kilometers of new embankments had been constructed. Most of the embankments have been constructed in northern India, where the Brahmaputra Valley of Assam, northern parts of Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, and Punjab are the main beneficiaries. In South India, embankments have been constructed mainly in the delta parts of Manadi, the Godavari, the Krishna, and along the banks of Penir. This is one of the example of construction of embankments in one of the city. Next, we will see the floodplain zoning. Floodplain zoning is the another very effective method of flood management. It is based on information regarding floodplains, particularly the identification of floodways in relation to land use. Detailed maps of flood-prone areas are prepared after a thorough study of flood cycles. Different zones are identified and demarcated. After that, necessary control is exercised with respect to the land use. In figure 8, in figure has shown in this slide, area A is the main channel of the river. It is the floodway which is totally prohibited zone. No construction is allowed in this zone. Area B2B is the regularly flowing fringe and marks the extent inundation design flood. This is called restrictive zone. Beyond that, that is the secondary hazard zone marked by CC. This is the extent of larger flood expected. These are the some of the disaster management for the flood used in the recent times. There are many more, but these are mainly important and effective to manage the cause of floods. Thank you.